The river is the Chalke Valley. It is what we are. It is broad shore. It is not Fifield. The river is paramount importance to our valley. It's very clean. It's one of the purest chalk streams in the country, full of wildlife. I sat there last night watching barn owls go up and down. I mean, the life's not too bad, is it?
This is the Chalke Valley of Wiltshire, where the River Ebble flows for 12 miles through farmland, villages and downland on its journey to meet the River Avon near Salisbury. Like many other rivers in this region, the Ebble is a chalk stream which is of international significance. I'm here to find out what some of the local farmers are doing to protect and enhance the River Ebble. Andrew Reis is the lead farmer of the Chalke Valley Farmer Cluster, which is a group of land managers that have united to do joined-up conservation in the Ebble catchment. It's one of many farmer groups in this region who are members of the Environmental Farmers Group, a farmer-led environmental trading platform convened and advised by the GWCT, which has a long history of supporting farmer conservation groups after piloting the first cluster back in 2013.
When we formed our cluster, it immediately came out as one of our top environmental priorities was the health of the river.
The River Ebble is enormously important to all of us who live in the Chalke Valley. That's not just the farmers, but the whole community. It's been part of our heritage for centuries, and apart from its own ecology, it supports a whole myriad of wildlife species, which we just wouldn't have if it wasn't for the river.
Water and the look of water is incredibly important to the nation. It's people choose their entertainment by going and seeing the seas, seeing rivers, children playing. It's a very, very important part of our culture as a country.
I also met Alex Deacon from Wessex Rivers Trust, who is working closely with the farmers and residents of the Chalke Valley.
The River Ebble is a chalk stream, and chalk streams are particularly rare, globally rare river habitat. Over 80% of the world's chalk streams are found in southern England alone. So it's a very precious sort of local resource, and ultimately they're the arteries of this landscape.
Matthew and Alex explain why it's important for the farmers to understand and improve the health of the river.
And we as farmers cannot be seen to be degrading the rivers. We must be seen to be improving them, making them important. It's very good for our PR, very good for our image, and it's the life of this valley.
We've been working with the Farmer Cluster as part of a project called Crystal Clear Ebble. Farmers are in a really fortunate position in that they can work together and they can deliver things on scale, which is a real benefit to biodiversity. So we're working with some of the local farmer clusters to really try and plan out and look at the opportunities to enhance things on a joined up basis.
Rivers like the Ebble face a number of threats, such as invasive species, extreme weather, and pollution of aquifers and surface water from roads, fields and septic tanks. The farmers, local communities and Rivers Trust hope to combat these issues together.
Farm tracks will act as a conduit and take sediment-rich runoff from the fields straight into the river. So by installing cross drains, we've done that on this farm using a capital grant through Countryside Stewardship. As soon as the water comes under the road, it all goes into the settlement pit. Most of the sediment will settle in the pit, and the rest will run over the top of that, and it will enter a bund. We created a bund using something called coir rolls, which are sort of natural sandbags, and the grass in the field will over time grow over the top, and it'll just look like a natural sort of grassy hump. We clean it out every year and take 10 tons of sediment out of it. So you can that's one culvert under one road. You imagine if we were all doing that, the amount of sediment that we could keep out of the river would be extraordinary.
We now put Italian ryegrass in after the maize. It greens up, holds the soil in place. We then cut before we put the maize in, and it really keeps the soil in the field, keeps the soil out of the river.
12 or 14 years ago, my father, in conjunction with the Chalke Valley Fishing Club, they decided to fence off a section of the river. They'd been quite heavily poached from both sides by our grazing cattle, and so we fenced off I think 600 metres of the river. It's incredible, 12 years on, the difference in the river now compared to what it was. It's sort of changed shape. It started meandering more. It's got deeper. Willow trees have grown up alongside the river, and it's in terms of habitat value, it's a vast improvement.
Neighbours are doing replicable sort of actions along the course of the river, whether that's looking at opportunities to restore the floodplain into a more sort of natural form, and also introducing Things like, as we look around here, large woody debris from the trees and the rivers into the rivers to help diversify the habitat, which is a real benefit for biodiversity.
The farmers talk of their hopes for the cluster and how it might inspire others to find out more about and conserve their own rivers, both at home in the Chalke Valley and also elsewhere in the Avon catchment, where the pioneering Environmental Farmers Group, or EFG, is taking shape.
The Wessex Rivers Trust just released an ecological baseline report on the whole of the River Ebble, drawing on data going back 10 years. So by going through that report, we can now target the work that we're doing into the parts of the river system that need it the most. And all of these things will have, of course, a greater impact on the lower Avon catchment and everything that the EFG is trying to achieve.
We decided that in the Chalke Valley, in our cluster, that we would make the Ebble an important part of what we're doing, to try and make sure it's right. And if we hopefully lead by keeping it clean, looking after it, others who have use of the river will see what we're doing and hopefully follow.
The EFG has real potential to bring a lot of benefits for the health of our rivers in the Avon catchment. What we need here is investment into nature, and having a good firm understanding of the health of the river from a farmer's perspective, and land management, etc., can really really help steer the right money into the right places.
The farmers in the Chalke Valley enjoy a real sense of bottom-up ownership of conservation in their catchment, and the work they're doing in planning is a great foundation for further improvements. This farmer-led approach can be replicated across the Avon catchment with the help of key partners and advisors, and also a blend of funding from government and the Environmental Farmers Group.